Today's meeting is not about assessing data, which is the usual daily work of regulators. It is to map out concrete steps to address a serious public health conundrum. We now have, for the first time in history, very effective treatments, drug treatments, and for some diseases, life-threatening diseases, these are the only effective treatments, and yet we found that these same drugs cause a life-threatening adverse event. Some of you may have seen charts where you plot on the x-axis benefits and on the y-axis you plot risks, and then you can do a 2-by-2 chart. And in this situation, we found ourselves in the high-benefit, high-risk quadrant. From a decision-maker's perspective, this is the most undesirable space to be, whether you're a patient, a healthcare provider, or a regulator. And the only way to get out of that undesirable space is by addressing PML head-on. So that's the background to this initiative. We're delighted to see so many colleagues who accepted our invitation from so many different stakeholders. We have patient representatives in this room. We have healthcare providers, industry, academia, and regulators. And this is entirely appropriate because we need the collaboration of all these communities and stakeholders to achieve our common goal. Now, I wish us all a very successful and stimulating conference and an interesting 2 days. Now, before I hand over to my colleague, I was asked to make a few housekeeping remarks. There will be a coffee break, and it will be just outside this room, and please do not take any coffee or hot drinks into the room because of the electronic equipment, which may be damaged. So enjoy your coffee outside. Please be aware that there will be lunch tickets for sale during the coffee break. I was told you need £15. I'm sorry, no credit cards accepted, to buy lunch vouchers if you wish to. We have a cashless system. I am aware that is a bit of a hassle. I do apologize, but that's how we work. Lunch will be from approximately 1 o'clock to 2:30 on the 3rd floor. So it's just one floor up, and you will be escorted up there. So just please cling to some of our staff, and they will take you up there. Now, with that, I would now like to extend an especially warm welcome to my colleague, Dr. Gerald Dalpan. He's the acting director of the Office of Surveillance and Epidemiology at the FDA Center for Drug Evaluation and Research. And he was instrumental in starting the research agenda in our meeting today. So thank you, Gerald, for that, and over to you.
Okay, thank you, and good morning, everyone, and welcome to all of you to this initial and I think what is a unique conference bringing together people from different perspectives here. And the question is, why PML? Why would two regulatory agencies be interested in convening a meeting on progressive multifocal leukoencephalopathy? After all, it is rather rare. There are lots of other things we could have spoken about. This is an important adverse event. It's a event that's gained a lot of attention in the last 30 years, first as a complication of HIV/AIDS, and then more recently a lot of attention as a complication of immunomodulatory therapies, including many of the newer, or at least some of the newer, biologically based therapies. And for certain therapies, this may be an adverse event that limits the use of the therapy, that causes one to reconsider benefit-risk profiles. And yet when there are medicines that really do provide unique benefits, it's not so much an issue of rejecting the medicine for use in that condition, but rather figuring out how that medicine can be used safely, effectively, and wisely. So this PML has been the subject of a lot of work in laboratories, in virology laboratories, biologically based laboratories. It's also been the subject of a lot of work for regulatory agencies looking at a benefit-risk balance and instituting risk management programs in both the United States and Europe. So PML itself is important, but it can serve as a model for something broader. We take the view that the harm from medicines is related both to their intrinsic biological and pharmacological properties, as well as to how those medicines are used in clinical practice. And the goal here is to stimulate thinking about how we can learn more about the biology and pharmacology that underlies PML, so that we can bring that knowledge back to the clinical arena to institute better risk-benefit decision-making and better understanding of the appropriate conditions for clinical use. This involves not only understanding the virus and the medicines, but also patient factors as well. Can we predict, for example, who will develop PML or who is at higher risk of developing PML? So we want to be able to integrate something very basic, such as laboratory research, with something very clinical, such as clinical decision-making, with risk management. And finally, if we can accomplish this for PML, can we take what we learned from these efforts and apply them to other adverse events? So this would serve then as a model for how we could think proactively about understanding very early in drug development the safety of medicines, regardless of what adverse events they may produce.